All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. That time again for a little Throwin Sliders podcast action with your hosts, Brandon Hall, Blair Cooper. Got a special guest tonight. If you've been following along with the page, legendary young driver we just found out, Mr. Blake Hahn. Storied family history there. We'll get into all of that, as well as some ASCS Western Plains racing from this weekend at El Paso County. So let's do it. All right, welcome back. Episode 48, Blake Hahn. We'll get right into it here, but yeah, what else would you rather be doing on a Monday night after a lot of racing nationally, locally, all across the U.S. over the weekend? Our guest was involved in the majority of those national races, fresh off a win, too, at Lakeside on Friday, so we'll get right into that. But Blair, how are you? It was a very good weekend for you. It's a nice change of pace.
Yeah, no, car was fine. So making a little progress there. So that always feels a little better because sometimes you just don't know whether you should just hang it up, sell it all, and quit. But sometimes just a little bit of a bright spot in it, at least getting better, is that's a good feeling. So we'll keep going for another week, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, after we get about 5-10 minutes at the end of the interview with Mr. Blake Hahn, we'll deep dive into the kind of the weekend that was for the 32 team, the Rough Truck Racing.com bunch. Had a shit ton of people, actually, Blair. I think that was a record for you. Didn't have to do much myself besides stand there and act like I was doing something. So I'll take it.
Yeah. Me either.
Yeah, well. All right. Well, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get right into this thing. We do want to highlight Racing Rowdy Ranch again. Got a handful of hats left, including a similar one to what I'm wearing on my head right now. If you haven't already, racingrowdyranch.com. Like I said in previous episodes, I believe all the out of stock stuff has been filtered out. So you only see the stuff that is ready for your greasy hands to get a hold of. So go on there, support the show, obviously a presenting partner for 2025. So go ahead and do that. And we appreciate it. And we'll play the ad and get Mr. Blake Hahn right into the show here.
Racing Rowdy Ranch was created with one person, one adjective, and one place in mind: the blue collar racer and crew behind the scenes. A word that can describe these racers and crews and how they live. Finally, a place where the straightaways and turns are these racers' pastures and hills, all bordered by concrete walls that could share more than their fair share of memories, even after several coats of paint. We are racing. We live rowdy and we long to be at the ranch, riding for the brand. An apparel company designed to showcase just that, push the limits every day and be proud of who we are. Visit racingrowdyranch.com now to order yours today. Saddle up, strap in, and live rowdy. Proud presenting partner of Scrubbin' Tires Media and the Throwin Sliders podcast.
All right, welcome to the show, Mr. Blake Hahn. How we doing tonight, buddy?
Good, guys. How are y'all?
Doing well. I have to make a announcement to the viewers. This episode almost didn't happen with Blake because I forgot a letter in his email. So just a friendly reminder, pro tip, make sure you get emails right when you're sending stuff to folks, because if Blake wouldn't have reached out, we would have been sitting here, just Blair and I. So appreciate you doing that, Blake.
Yeah, sometimes it's best to spell check. But yeah, no, it's good. It's glad to be. Hopefully you guys have been good lately.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It was good catching up with you a couple weeks back at El Paso. So glad we were able to cross paths again and get this on deck for tonight. So Blair, I'll open it up to you for opening questions here as we always do.
Well, Blake, let's talk about the win first. Coming off a little bit of time since you'd been to Victory Lane. How was it? How'd it feel?
Yeah, it was good, man. It was a good night. It was actually it's a little different than we were used to because we had a makeup feature on deck that same night. We had a race that actually we lighted out, I guess you might call it. We had some issues with the lights throughout the night, so we ended up want to race at Lakeside because we didn't have any infield lights. So we were actually scheduled to start on the front row of that dash for that night. So rolling into that night, we had a pretty good starting spot. So they ended up scratching the dash, and we started on the pole of the makeup feature. And this was right after we just started ninth in the initial night's race. We started ninth and ended up getting up to third. So we had good speed in the first feature, so we were pretty happy going into the next one. And truthfully, the track didn't change much. We only had one feature between those two features of ours. And we were really good the first one, and we made just a few changes for the second one, and was able to really to maintain a pretty good pace throughout the race, and get up top and just get ripping. We had a few cautions throughout the race, and had Matt Covington try to throw some sliders on us, so definitely had to get up a little late in the race and make sure we maintained their speed. But yeah, it was a good night, so we were able to pick up a win and a third. So 2 podiums that night was really cool, and it was a good night of racing. Lakeside had a good crowd, and the track was really in tip-top shape for us.
That's good. I guess just to follow up to that real quick, if I can, Brandon, when you say you go a while without winning, I mean, it's kind of like baseball. There's a hitter's slump, right? And if you start to struggle, it seems like that compounds. How do you try to deal with that in your mind? I mean, obviously you've had a lot of success, so I'm sure you can kind of lean back to that. Like, hey, I've done this. I've come out of slumps before. Mentally, do you just try to put it behind you, or what's the thought process when you are struggling in order to get yourself back to victory lane?
Damn, you're coming out guns blazing. Give this guy a break. Shit.
Yeah. Oh man, no, that is a good question though, for sure, because it definitely does. It means a lot. I mean, you're a driver, you know how your confidence means everything. So you get into that rhythm where you just go out there and you feel like you're just maybe a top 10 car, and that's the results you get. So it's definitely a mindset deal where you kind of have to go in there and kind of feel like you own that night and have good confidence going into it. So we've had good speed the last month or so, but before that, we kind of did struggle, and not necessarily struggle as far as not being able to be a top 10 car, but just lagging that speed that we know we should have. So we've really been kind of buckling in, trying to fine tune our chassis. I've got to step it up on my qualifying. That's where I lack. I get too far behind the 8 ball, don't get an opportunity to be put into the dash, and then contending with Sam and Covington and how good those guys are anymore, how consistent they are, makes it tough when you're not in the dash. Not starting the first few rows of a feature like that is really tough to get up there. So it really comes down to me focusing on how to get better. But man, if you can just really get that confidence going, but man, you got to almost manifest it, man. You got to tell yourself that you can do it. You can get out there and be a top 5 car, and then tell yourself, man, you can win every single night. And once you have that feeling in your head and you go out there and you have those results, like I said, the last month have been really good, and I feel like I have a car that can win every single night. And I go out there and I feel like I'm not doing anything different than I have been all year long, but I find myself on the top 3 when it's all said and done. So that's one thing my mindset is. I'm really focused right now on just getting good results. I'm just trying to finish the year out strong, have our best finishes now, the better finishes now than we have all year. So just got to be tip-top shaped on the mental part. But yeah, you got to be on it at all time.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was going to say, obviously I kind of asked your age right before we went to go live. And I asked that because you seem, I have your stats here, 57 wins. I think that accounts for Friday. Like, you're 30 years old. I did the math, and I'm not good at math. Oh, 735 starts. And with those 57 wins, it's a 12% winning average, and you're 30 years old. Like, that's pretty incredible. So for you to go into a slump, because you normally see that like maybe at the mid to end of a driver's career, right? But you're still so young, so you have that, like you said, that mentality of, I just got to bring it to fruition, put it out in the atmosphere, and you're still rocking and rolling. So I guess I say all that to say, how in the hell did you get in this sport and be able to accomplish what you've already accomplished at 30 years old? I mean, that's 2 years younger than me, 6 years younger than Blair. Like, how in the world did this all start for you?
Well, for me, truthfully, this is just all my family's ever done. So just being around it growing up, being around the racetrack, and my grandpa raced back in the day. So when I was 8 years old, my dad asked if I wanted to race. We've been going to the racetrack. My grandpa owns Creek County Speedway, not far from here, and I grew up running around there as a young kid every Saturday night at just a good old local track, and got to see really what it's all about. And man, my dad asked me, I was like, of course I want to, right? And after my grandpa ended up racing, he had a yellow 52. Of course, I wanted to have a yellow 52, and that's where it all started for me. But yeah, so like without my grandpa and my dad, really getting us started and really having our foot in the door with the racing, like I said, I just grew up around it. It was something I always wanted to do. Of course, I wanted to drive a race car, but
Sure.
I've been able to do it with my dad and my grandpa's support throughout the last nearly 20 years. Yeah, 20 years now. So
Yeah.
it's been a great road, honestly. Yeah, we started out slow in the junior sprints, raced around Port City, and slowly made our way up to the sprint car, and been traveling pretty much nationally for the last 10 years or so. And man, just every night we just continue to learn. It's just it's crazy to think it's been this long already, and I still feel like I have no clue really what we're doing, man. We're just playing it by ear every weekend. So truthfully, it's a dream come true for me. I've got my wife and kids that get to go to the races with me, and then I've got my mom and dad and my best friend traveling up and down the road with me. So truthfully, for me, it doesn't get any better.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you said that, because you've been traveling, at such a young age that you are now. You've been basically doing it all of your adult career or life, right? Like from the time you were, we'll call it adult 16 to 18, like you've been basically on the road doing this exact thing that we watch and have podcasts on. So that's just, usually when you hear about like a Sammy Swindell, for instance, like, yeah, you've been doing it for 40 years, but he's also, 60, 70 years old, which that makes sense. But like, I just, it's nowadays, like whether you go asphalt, dirt, like you guys are starting at basically by the time you can talk 5 years old and put together a full sentence, like you guys are in a car somewhere, which is just insane. So kudos to you, man. I mean, your career is far from over, but you have accomplished a lot. And, kudos to you. So
appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, when you say those stats, like the 12%, and I haven't really looked at it like that. And, just me and my just my competitive mindset. Just every weekend I feel like I should have done better. It seems like, you know what I mean. You say I have that wins, and yeah, that's great, but I feel like I can name a dozen of them that I've let go of myself and should have more of. So there's definitely more room for improvement, right? But I think that's what makes me keep on to continue doing what I'm doing, is to to kind of make my footprint in ASCS. Obviously, we ran the 410. We've been able to run with the Outlaws in the high limit, and had some good runs with those guys. But right now, where my program is with my team being our family-owned team, it's just makes so much more sense to run with the ASCS, man. We have a lot of fun racing with these guys. We've got a good group that we get to race with every weekend, and it makes it a lot of fun when we get to have a good race with these guys, and get to go hang out with their family during the week and not have to be on the road all the time.
For sure. Yeah. And I was gonna say, Blair, we can get into kind of more of his, beginnings, if you will, if you didn't have another question or follow up to that. But I'd like to see.
Well,
I'm a go-kart guy, so I want to see if Blake started out in that. But go ahead, Blair.
sure. Well, just before we get there, I guess from my perspective, Blake, what's different for guys like me is you always try to wonder what it's like in another guy's shoes. So I have a day job, work through the week. I don't race full time. I've always wondered what it would be like to not have to go to my day job and just be able to sit in the seat and try to do that for a living. But I think I have seen enough of it from guys like you that a lot of people, I heard someone say once that it's like once you actually get to once you achieve your dream, the problem is you still have to do it. And I think there's a lot of times we've talked to drivers where they don't understand what it's like to be on the road that much. We talked about how I may run 20 races and I'm absolutely just gassed at the end of the year from even a little bit of travel and trying to maintain. But have you ever just thought about what, like the other side of that, if you were just to say you got tired of the road for a while, hang it up, and what kind of job you would do? Or, do you ever think, man, that would be a weird life, because I mean, I sit here and I'm like, oh, it's cool, but I also understand nothing's ever what it seems, even though it's awesome. It's a lot of work, but have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, man, for me, it's so like I've been doing this since I graduated high school. So I graduated in the year after I graduated, I got the opportunity to jump on the national tour with Bruce Griffiths. So from 2014 all the way till now, I've pretty much been traveling nationally with some series at some point. So we've been doing it for a little while now. So we've definitely got our taste of it, but man, I wouldn't have it any other way. There's nothing I would have any differently. But yeah, like if I had to change something, I would maybe consider maybe just continuing to run my team maybe with a younger driver. There's a bunch of good up and coming drivers that definitely need some good opportunities. And like I said, I'm still continuing to learn, but I feel like I have got a little bit of knowledge that I could help pass down and just help the kids get one step farther forward. But if not that, I'd definitely be doing something with racing, whether it be making some parts, doing something, or even having my hand in a series or a track or something. But it's definitely something I consider my life. So you wouldn't see me too far away from the racetrack.
So he told you his retirement plan instead of what he would be doing if he wasn't.
I mean, he's 30, so yeah, a younger driver. It is funny how young guys have gotten, because like in my dad's era, he said on the super late model tour he ran, he was the youngest guy by far, and he was 23 years old. It was unheard of to see 16 to 20-year-old kids running professionally like that. But it is funny, and I just wondered, because I know a lot of guys, they get burned out. It just seems like that is, a lot of people don't realize the struggles of that and life. I mean, for as much as you guys travel, I know my last month has been a blur, and you've been doing it since February. So I just don't think a lot of people recognize that, yeah, it's a dream come true, but it's not easy and it's not always fun. And, it comes with a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of sacrifices. It makes it tough for sure. Like I said, I've got 2 kids now, so missing out on certain things. Like I missed out on first soccer game this last weekend being up north in Kansas. So there's definitely things you're sacrificing, but I'm also getting to do things with my girls that I wouldn't get to do it without racing. So being able to take them to Knoxville for 10 days and hang out and go do all kinds of stuff is something that they'll remember forever. And then it's memories that I will never be able to get back.
For sure. So back to your 8 years old with your dad talking about racing. What was the first car you jumped in?
So I ran a junior sprint. It was pretty much a miniature micro. We ran 100.
Skip the damn go-karts. All right, straight to it.
Right to the junior sprint. They had 100cc go-kart motors on them.
Hey,
but yeah, we ran that for a few years. We ran around Port City, a little bit of pretty much around Oklahoma area. We'd bounce around to Missouri if we could. But we were able to pick up the driller at the Tulsa shootout in the junior sprint class. I think it was in 2006. And that was when I think maybe we realized if this was something I wanted to take serious, it was kind of game time from here on out, So we moved up to the restrictor class and was able to win a championship with that, and ran it for a few years and actually ran runner-up at the shootout, almost got a driller in that. And after a few years in the restrictor, moved up, took the restrictors out, and ran outlaw class, which was pretty much the top tier of the micro series, and started to travel a little bit. We'd run with the Power I series in Illinois. We'd travel Texas, and at that point ASCS 2 was getting popular, which was a little bit of a traveling series, kind of what now 600 is now for these guys, where they can travel a little bit and get some experience. And that's kind of how I got my first taste of travel and racing, was with ASCS 2, and they kind of mimicked maybe like the ASCS regional series schedule, not traveling too far, but getting a handful of different tracks and getting to race for points against a good group of guys that are all from different areas. So that's where I kind of got that first taste of, man, this is what I really like. But beforehand, growing up, before I started racing, we would go to sprint car races, and we'd get to watch the ASCS cars when they'd come around, which was kind of rare. I'd maybe get to see them 4 times a year, so it was really cool. And then when I started running with the ASCS 2, we would end up having double shows with the ASCS guys. So we would run like a support class for the ASCS guys on like the quarter-mile tracks. So we got to run speed week with those guys for a week when I was probably 14 years old, running the outlaw car, and we were racing with those guys like Jason Johnson and Brad Loyad at the time, Jeff Swindell, Johnny Herrera. They're running their sprint car, and I got to run my micro with these guys on the same track. So I was in hog heaven as a kid growing up, and I was just looking up to these guys thinking, man, this is exactly what I want to be doing. And then really in a few short years, we were pretty close to that being a reality. I was able to pick up the winged and non-wing outlaw driller at the Tulsa shootout in 2010, I believe, maybe 2011. And that's kind of where really things started taking off. I was able to get into a midget ride for the Chili Bowl that next week. Really escalated quickly after winning those drillers. I was 16 years old, turned 16 beginning of January, and was able to race the Chili Bowl that year, and was able to. I drew 4, so started on the pole my first heat race, first time in an open midget, and ended up winning my heat race. Felt pretty comfortable. Went to a qualifier, and then it was a little more slick. Had to finesse it. Ended up having some trouble there, and kind of got my first taste of what Chili Bowl reality is. So after that year, I ended up running a midget for a little bit longer with the Hard 8. I ended up teaming up with Donnie Ray Crawford and the Hard 8 racing team out of Oklahoma, and we ran a select schedule, maybe 10, 12 races throughout the year, and it was just enough to kind of get my feet wet in there, and I could keep running my micro too. So it really fit in really well with my schedule. And at that point, I was about 16, 17 years old. And, like I mentioned earlier, after I graduated from high school was when I got the opportunity to go drive a sprint car for Bruce Griffith in 2014. Well, actually, in 2013, I was driving for him a little bit out of Houston, and he came up with the idea to go and run a national tour in 2014, and he asked what I thought about it. And being 18 years old, I was like, absolutely, I want to, right? So we got
hell
everything.
with college. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did not.
Hell no.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go. I want to do it right now. So we got everything going, got everything settled up, and ran the majority of the season with him. And we ended up parting ways with about 6 or so races left in the season. And at that point, I had a 09 Big Mac sitting in my shop that I had bought from a buyout and an older trailer. And me and my crew guy at the time, we thrashed to get it together in the middle of the week and rushed to we went to the Hawken Memorial for 3 days and ended up running 6 races with our own equipment to finish out the points series in 2014. And then the beginning of 2015, we I guess would be the beginning of Blake Hahn Racing sprint car team. Would be the first time we actually had our first race with our own team, own car, and everything. And we started the season out in Florida with a fresh car, trying to hit it hard, organized. We thought at that point in 2015, boy, did we surely learn we didn't have our stuff together.
Yeah,
we ran that season, and man, what a learning experience that was. I guess really that was my first taste of kind of running my own team by myself. We definitely did a lot of learning. We did our fair share of tearing stuff up, and plenty of missed A features sitting on top of the trailer watching the A feature from the infield. So those first few years, 15, 16, 17, was a big learning curve for us. But, man, we picked up speed really quickly once we got comfortable. And, man, it's truthfully, it's just crazy to think that those years have been gone by so quickly, sitting here in 2025 thinking back just that short amount of time is crazy to think about. But yeah, we've been able to just keep on trucking. We pretty much have ran the national tour since 2014, minus last year. We went and ran a little bit of 410 racing with the Power I Series up in Missouri. But other than that, we've been traveling with these guys, just having fun time.
Yeah, no doubt. Blair, I know you got some questions in there, as do I, but I'll bounce to you.
Yeah, I only really have one. I guess now that you've done this for quite a while, and as you've grown as a person and in the sport, do you feel like even with having kids and a wife that it's changed your mentality on how you drive as you mature as a driver, or has it been just like when you put the helmet on, you have the job to do? Some guys can tune that out. Some guys, I haven't seen it change your style personally. I watched a lot of the races. I feel like you're up there ripping. But is it something that's changed your mentality a little bit, or have you just tried to become more finesse, or does it matter? You're just like, this is my job, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, man, it definitely is. I don't think anybody could say that it definitely isn't a thought in your head. It's not just about myself anymore. Like when I was 18-year-old racing, I didn't really care about anything, just go out there and have some fun, right? So a little bit more responsibilities now. Got somewhere to be on Monday and some people to see. So at first, I think it maybe slowed me down a little bit. I've never been I at least feel like I haven't been a really crazy aggressive driver. I feel like I kind of push it a little bit, but maybe patiently aggressive a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I think once I had my girls, maybe it backed me off a tick, and that's been one of my major issues. Just lacking that bit of aggressiveness. You can watch the outlaw races and the high limit races, and even some of the ASCS races now. if you're not going to push the issue and be fairly aggressive throughout the night, you're probably not going to be in the situation to be up there battling for a lead. So you can't be Mr. Nice Guy all the time and expect to be knocking off wins all the time either. So it's kind of a fine line. You can see it. You can see it all the time. Obviously people are fairly aggressive and they get themselves in bad situations, and then you see the guys that are just too nice and they get pushed around all across the track. So in my opinion, it's a fine line, and as a driver, it's something you kind of have to step back and take a look at it at a different perspective and see maybe if you need to step it up a little bit on the aggression level, or maybe you're just driving a little bit too aggressive. So I would say that it did slow me down a little bit right when I had them, but at the end of the day, that's I got to make money for those girls too. So and the only way to make money is to win races.
Yeah.
Fair point.
Yeah, I hope that didn't seem like I was saying you'd slow down, because I didn't. Every race I've watched, I just do know I've heard guys say that maybe that actually in some ways has helped them mature as a driver a little bit and think about how make the car work instead of just trying to bomb it in there. And I think some of that does come with age, and then some guys it does. It's like they do have that in the back of their head, and then there probably is time for them to be done. But I had never seen that with you. I just wondered from internally if you'd ever felt like, man, I got a lot now. That's why I had my engine builder told me that's why they send 18-year-old kids to war and try to put them in sprint cars, because they're full of piss and vinegar and they don't think about the consequences.
That's right. No, you're exactly right, man. No, for sure. I would say I feel like any person, that has to be a thought in your head. I mean, whether it follows through on the track, you've got to be thinking about it at some point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. And you come, like you said, you come out guns blazing at this guy, Blair. He's never going to want to come back again.
No, I
telling him he's slow, telling him, I mean, damn, man.
No, not at all. It's exactly the opposite. That's why I know from an experienced guy like him, you can really pick the brain, and I learn a lot. I mean, this podcast, when Brandon asked me to be on, it's really just me personally asking shit I want to know. So, to try to make me a better race car driver. And I think some of the different perspective, we see a lot of the TV guys, and they've honestly never been in a race car. So, you get a lot of the niceties and stuff, but people really appreciate, your deep thoughts on it. Obviously, you think deeply about it, and it means a lot to you. So I definitely appreciate it, and I think everybody else will too. And yeah, it's never to dog on you. I hope that didn't come off that way. I wasn't.
No, I'm just.
I think you're obviously. Yeah, you're a hell of a race car driver. So we, anyway. But I do appreciate the deep thought on it.
No, those are some great questions. Sure, I think fans definitely think those questions like that are really cool to hear.
Yeah, no doubt. Because sometimes like at a track, like you're given the niche interviews all the time, but it's when you peel back the helmet and you actually get to ask those questions. This is what this is all about. So did want to switch gears to the high limit stuff. We had a comment here from Torn Shirts, who I race with. Go to high limit, Blake. So tell us how many races did you do in the high limit? Obviously that's where I first met you in person down in Fort Worth. And kind of tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so man, it's been really cool to see, really how far high limits came in just a few short years. So I probably ran maybe a dozen races with them overall. I haven't been able to travel really too far from here, but what's been nice about the high limit series is they've kind of brought a lot of 410 racing back to Oklahoma for us, and even in our region, Kansas, Texas, like you said, Fort Worth area. They give us that opportunity. For me, it's tough for me to jump in the rig and drive 7-8 hours to go run my 410. But man, when it's within 5-6 hours, it's almost like I have to go, right? So when they're here, we definitely try to go. This year, we haven't been able to run a whole lot. We obviously caught a couple races at the beginning of the year with them and the Outlaws. But with them being so far away right now, we've just been buckling down, and with us running for points, we've been so busy the last month. But like I said, I really enjoy racing with them. Those drivers are obviously the best at what we're doing right now. So to be able to race with them and compete with them, it only makes me better. And I feel like every time we go, we continue to learn on our 410. We struggle a little bit with that thing, but the more laps we get, we continue to grow and get better and better. And man, that's all you can ask for when you're racing with guys like that.
Yeah. What's the whole process like with Brad and Kyle? Is there a lot of like pre kind of stuff, or is it just like any old racetrack? You show up, you get your, obviously there's only usually one class, and that's the sprint cars. What's that process like?
Yeah, no, it's fairly similar. I think for the most part, they kind of base their deal off what the Outlaws have going. They obviously have a pretty good formula of what they figured out. Obviously not having too many support classes is something that I think catches a lot of the fans' eyes. They know they're going to go and see just some really good sprint car racing,
Mhm.
and then some other stuff in between. But they definitely have their stuff figured out. But it's really cool to see, in my opinion, kind of the stuff outside of the dirt bowl that they're bringing into it. The stuff that maybe Kyle gets to see at the NASCAR races that he thinks would work for dirt track racing, like kind of like the Fan Fest deal that they have. After qualifying, they spend maybe an hour or so interacting with the fan t-shirt trailer. So I think it's stuff like that that really, gets the fans connected with the drivers, like we were just talking about with like the questions like that really can open up the door or open up the eyes to the fans to see that, like we're just like normal people, like they are doing a job like they are. But man, we're very lucky to be doing this job. But like at the end of the day, we're just there to put on a great race, and truthfully, that's all we want to do is just have a fun race. And if we have a good crowd to do it in front of, it makes it that much more enjoyable for us.
Yeah, and I've touched on it. That's a great point you made, Blake. I've touched on it numerous times on this show. The handful of high limit races that I've gone to, literally for, I don't even know what it is now, but an extra $20, you get that pit pass and go back there, and you can stand, side by side, like you and I were talking about the 4-wheeler that you used to push off. I was going to buy one for my outlaw cart. You can go up to any of these guys that you cannot, these are professional athletes, and you cannot get that access, especially for $20. I mean, you talk about a football game, you're going to spend thousands to be in some club box and maybe get to say hi to them, and that's it. But literally, I'm sure it's distracting at some points to you guys, because fans just, they don't have to leave until the security guard tells them to. So, I mean, it's just a great atmosphere that High Limit's putting on for you guys.
No, man. Yeah, it's cool for us. Seriously, it is. Because the fans coming in and hanging out and seeing how serious these fans take it, and how truthfully how much they enjoy going to a race. Like for us being like the ASCS National Tour, so we get to go to these regional areas that don't get a national series race all the time. So like when we come there, they're like really excited to see us. Like it makes us feel really. We want to put on a good show for these guys. And it's really cool to see these fans come down and thank us for coming to their track, and hoping we get to come back next year, and for them to come down and support us by buying our merchandise and sitting there hanging out, signing autographs. We like sitting there hanging out with the kids and giving them autograph cards, and just getting those interactions with the fans and just having that time with them. And truthfully, I enjoy really just seeing the kids out there, man. It's been really cool seeing the adults that bring their younger kids out there. I sit back in the grandstands and watch races, and sit there and I'm like, man, our age demographic it's a lot higher than you would expect, and it's kind of scary, in a couple of decades. It's like, who are our fans going to be? So seeing those handful of kids that get to go out there with their mom and dad, it's really cool seeing them out there, and that's going to be our next generation of race fans, or maybe even car owners at some point.
Yeah. And there was a race, I can't remember which one it was, but they went up, I don't think you were there, but they went up in the stands, and if you were a veteran, you raise your hand. All the drivers went up in the crowd and shook their hand. I was like, man, you're talking about Kyle Larson, Brad Sweet, some of these guys that, usually have security guards around them walking up into these, stands at a local track, which I think is pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty ballsy, but, I feel like race fans are not, these streakers that you see on football games or soccer games. Like, we're genuine people, so maybe it's a little safer, but
except the PA maybe.
Yeah.
Well, and you can literally walk up to a driver in the pit area and go shake their hand and tell them they did a good job that night. Like you said, you can't do that with any other sport.
Not at all. So I wanted to touch on, we talked about it in the pre-show, but take me through the color combo and the graphics of your car, because it's beautiful. It's got this like retro, for everybody watching, Google Blake Hahn's car. I could pull it up, but I'm lazy right now, but pull it up. It like, take us through that. Obviously you talked about the number with your grandfather, which we'll get into, but
yeah. So for me, like I said, like my grandpa had a yellow 52 throughout the 60s and 70s, and my dad ended up racing too, and he actually drove the yellow 52. So for me, when I started racing, like there was no questions, it was going to be yellow 52, and I've stuck with that. I've been yellow 52 as long as I've owned my own car. It's been a yellow 52, but I've kind of changed and molded into my own thing. Obviously my grandpa didn't have pink on his car in the 60s, so a little different thing than what they're used to seeing on the yellow 52. But Over the years, we started with blue. We had a blue car. We had the blue numbers on it, had the blue lines, and then I had the black on it. And we slowly kind of transitioned to the gray scheme. Instead of the dark black on the car, we ended up going to gray, ended up changing the chassis to gray, kind of just breaking it all up. And I think it was 4 years ago, we kind of swapped to the light blue and the pink. And man, once we had that color scheme on that yellow, it just really pops out. And I think that's one thing that really helps us pick up fans, like even like the younger fans. We have a lot of young fans come by our trailer. A lot of younger girl fans love that car. They love the yellow and pink, but it catches the eye. You know what I mean? You can just scan the track, and that yellow car just pops, and it catches your eye. And with it being the blue and pink and yellow, I think a lot of the kids' eyes just get attracted to it. And that's the car they want to go see at the end of the night. If the parents ask them if they want to go see a car, that's the one they want to go see. That's something I think is really cool about our team. Is it's a really good looking car, and that's something I take pride in. I feel like we've got a really, really nice car. We take pride in how we build our cars, but we don't. There's no way we'd send our car out there with no numbers and no graphics on it. We make sure our stuff's anodized and powder coated. Got the black Nerf bars. We take pride in it, right? So like, to be a champion, I feel like you definitely have to carry your team like a championship team. So for me, I am very fortunate because I have been able to run with the high limit and the World of Outlaws, and I get to park next to those teams like Tony Stewart and the Casey Kane and all those teams, and see how they operate and how they run, and change what we do, and try to carry ourselves as best as we can, and kind of simulate how they carry themselves. And you never see a wing hanging up in their trailer that's not painted and wrapped and ready to go. So, that's something we take pride in, and I think that shows on the track when you can glance at that car and see how good it's taken care of and how well our guys make sure it's clean and maintained throughout the week. But for me, like I said, that yellow 52, you never see me get away from it. And with how much the fans have been digging the pink and blue, I don't know if I'll change away from it anytime soon either.
Yeah, no, that's definitely noticeable. And I like Blair and I also, I'm probably a little bit more anal just because I like to dabble in graphic design, but same kind of principle when I was racing and, with Blair racing, like the car, like, Saturday night didn't matter, there was 4 classes there, but I'm out there waxing Blair's car. Like it means a lot to your sponsors too, like to have a clean car and, stuff like that. So did you have any like input in the design, or did you just hand it to a designer and say, have at it?
Yeah, I pretty much just let him have it. And I've had a guy doing my graphics since he's been doing all my sprint car stuff. So for the last 10 or 12 years, he's been doing all my sprint car stuff. But he even did some of my micro stuff back in the day. So he kind of has an idea what I like, and he's got that eye, kind of like you. You got that eye for a good design. So I trust him for the most part. He knows what I like, and he'll throw some cool stuff together and kind of give me a couple options, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, for the most part. I think another thing that's different from our car than a lot of people, like a lot of people use full body wraps now where they're just wrapping the whole sideboard of a wing. And we use just vinyl. So like we're just like plain strips of color across, and like our guy will layer stuff. So like our numbers are layered like 3-4 layers instead of just being a wrap. So I think that maybe helps the color pop a little bit. And I think for me personally, I think that's a little more old school, and that's the way I like it.
Yeah, no, that's badass. That's why I asked that question, because I figured there was a story behind it. So sorry, Blair, I get all nerded out on
that's
you.
Actually, that's interesting to me, because I will say whenever I'm watching the recaps on TV, you're the easiest car to find by far, and there's really not that many yellow cars anymore.
Danny agrees with us.
Yeah,
that's my dad's colors too. And then my brother didn't have a yellow car, but he has pink and yellow graphics on his super late model. And on the asphalt, there's a few more yellow, but man, it's gotten more rare, and it is a unique piece, and it really is pretty. I was walking by it, and I mean, damn, when the sun's out, that thing, but even at night, it shows up. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I definitely like it.
Really good pride in our car. I really love that yellow. And that's another thing, when you watch videos, like watch highlights, and you want to go over your video, and they may not necessarily be on your car the whole time, you can kind of keep an eye on it a little easier when it's far in the corner. You get those quick glances, and you don't have to really work your eyes too hard to catch it.
Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely. And I'll say, like, I'm guilty of it. Like, going down this color scheme thing, like my high school was black and orange. And so like everything I owned, right, playing sports, black and orange. And then when I started racing, I just like, my favorite color has always been orange. And I'm like, messed around in iRacing doing the fluorescent yellow, like everybody does. Like there was a stint where everybody had fluorescent yellow numbers, but I was like, everything I own is black and orange anyway, so we might as well do that color. And then it still pops with the fluorescent orange. But I feel like a lot of the cars, like David Gravel, all the cars are shifting to that black and orange. So like when there's 3 or 4 of them, even in NASCAR with the Bass Pro Shop scheme, like it's hard to pick out a car. So it's still badass that people like you are, number one, carrying that family tradition, which is cool in and of itself. And then 2, like you don't see any other yellow cars. Like I can't tell you another yellow sprint car that I've seen recently. So yeah, keep that tradition. It's badass.
Absolutely, for sure.
All right. So we transition into to your grandpa and the whole chili bowl deal. Is it that time?
Yeah.
All right. Blair, I don't know if you want to lead off. I am a huge fan of the chili bowl, so I have like 50,000 questions. So I'll let you.
I'll let you, Brandon. You know way more about it than me. I don't know. Blake probably doesn't know this, but I had never even, when I bought the sprint car, I had never actually sat in one or looked inside of one. So chili bowl was foreign to me, and I've had to just learn in the last 3 years, 2.5 years. And I've completely immersed myself, but never been to the chili bowl. Only started watching it a couple years ago. My family was all asphalt, and dirt was a bad word. So Brandon, go ahead, man. And I'm learning along with you. So
no, I just want to know from the beginnings. Obviously, I think it was last year. So last year, I gotta throw a shout out to my wife. 2 years ago, I watched every single night, and I mean, I think it starts like 6 local time here. Watched it every night till 9-10 o'clock. And by Friday, she's like, dude, is it done? Like, is it over? Like, I was like, no, we got Saturday. Like, we got alphabet soup. She's like, we're going to watch this the whole day on Saturday. I was like, yeah, you don't understand. So last year I tried to cut it back a little bit to, she's still pregnant and everything. So yeah, but I guess, yeah, wherever you want to start. Like, my story to that was, I think it was last year. They did this like 2-hour special with your grandfather, and I don't remember all the names and how he kind of got into the mix with the chili and all that stuff. So like take us back from the origins of it.
Okay. So what's cool about it, so you guys are talking about chili bowl, which like a lot of everybody knows, right? So Blair, I mean, you are fresh to dirt racing, but you already know about chili bowl, right? So, but it wasn't chili bowl first. So the shootout is what my grandpa started. He started that the year before the chili bowl. And that was with the micro sprints. And he ended up doing that, and the next year he wanted to do the midgets, and didn't really have he wasn't in the scene of midgets nearly enough. He didn't know all the people, and he was afraid that he wasn't going to get anybody to come. So he ended up reaching out to Laney Edwards out of Lawton, Oklahoma, which he owns Lawton Speedway. He owned the infamous Devil's Bowl Speedway out of Mesquite, and then State Fair Speedway in Oklahoma City. He ran all those tracks, so he had his he had a good hand in all the people. He knew Steve Kinder, Sammy Swindell, all the promoters, Ted Johnson from Wolf Outlaws. So he had his hand in this thing. So my grandpa reached out to him and asked him to be a partner with him for this race inside a building in the middle of the winter in January in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And he was all on board, and he never questioned it. These two just jumped in, and they started it all off a handshake, right? So these guys are some Oklahoma boys, and they like some good old dirt track racing, and they wanted to race in January. And luckily for us, we had a building about 3 miles from where my dad grew up at my grandpa's house, and it's at the Expo Square here in Tulsa. So it started there at Chili Bowl, and it really has grown exponentially since then. I think maybe this year is the 40th year, maybe. Might be wrong.
Something like that.
Yeah. So we've been going forever, but yeah, so they're still partners. The Edwards family and the Hahn family are still both owners of the Chili Bowl, and it's been, like I said, it's been growing every year. But that first year was, it was a big gamble for them. These guys took a big risk, and when they did it back then, they had no idea it was going to turn into what it is today. And I don't even know how many cars they had the first year. It wasn't very many, but there were some really good names that showed up, and every single year it just continued to grow and grow. And many things have changed. When it started, there wasn't a whole lot of dirt out there on the pavement. It was just enough to get a shape of a track out there. But now, bringing in hundreds of loads throughout the beginning of December and shape this thing into pretty decent sized track to be inside of a building. You know, normally you think of a indoor race and it's a really, really small bull ring. So I think that's something that really has made it unique, is to be able to have a bigger track like that. And it produces some really good racing indoors when really there's not anything else going on. So for me, I was able to, you know, grow up around the Chili Bowl. Obviously, it was around before I was born. So I was born towards the end of January, and ended up, you know, being born right after Chili Bowl, and my mom and dad and my whole family working there early on, and grew up as a little kid buzzing around that place on rollerblades and running around having a good time as a kid. And like I said, you know, when I started racing a junior sprint and they ran junior sprint to shootout, like, of course I wanted to go race the shootout. Why wouldn't I? That's the best race ever. So the race means the world to me. So when I got the opportunity to race in it, it was just unbelievable, really. And then to be able to race the Chili Bowl when I turned 16 was just a dream come true for me, to be able to race in my grandpa's race, and you know, be able to run it every year since then. But yeah, like I said, without my grandpa and Laney taking that risk early on, and you know, really stepping out of their comfort zone, and starting this early on, and being able to continue to make it grow like this. And this is one of those deals where this is probably a business that needs to be ran by some corporate, you know, deal, but it's literally out of an office across the street from my grandpa's house in the middle of Tulsa. And it's just two families that run it. So it's really unbelievable to think about how far we've come, but it's definitely is a true blessing for my family.
For sure. No, that's a great, better than any other documentary could do. But talk about the dirt. So that was something we've talked about here on the show. Like, where do you guys get it? Like, what's the cost? I mean, that's a lot of work.
So my grandpa's very particular on his dirt. He's like he geeks out on his dirt. So he loves it. You know, and it's not dirt, I guess, is where I should probably begin. He probably wouldn't be mad at me for saying that. It's clay. Like,
Clay,
he makes sure we get very good clay. We don't get it all from the same spot either. Obviously, after a few years, you need to renew and get a little bit more stuff to add to your pile, because you'll lose a little bit after transport and whatnot. But you know, they've had a pretty good chunk of it for a lot of years, and I truthfully don't even know where the big chunk of it came from. But I do know probably close to 10 years ago, they redid a road, probably about 2 or 3 miles from the expo, and they had a good chunk of clay underneath that, and the city asked him if he wanted it, and he loaded it up and added it to the pile. And I think there's been a couple different instances kind of like that, where a guy comes across a good chunk of clay, and he goes out there and kind of sees exactly what it looks like and how it's going to you know, how it's going to maneuver, and adds it to the pile. So yeah, like, I think there's nearly 600 loads, if I remember correctly. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, and they're pumping them in there. It's a nonstop day for probably, I think, 2 or 3 days worth.
Yeah, I'm in the construction industry myself, and my current project's out in south of Richmond. And the only thing I could think about when we were doing the civil part of my job was like, man, you know, Emmett Hahn would love this, because we could truck it all the way to Tulsa, because this is some good shit. But you know, that would be a very expensive haul ticket.
Yeah, no, it's cool to think about that. Like, the city of Tulsa would even think about, like, hey, these guys might need turf race.
Yeah,
right?
Cool.
It's really cool. You know, obviously the city now is understanding how big of an impact it's bringing to the economy, and they're seeing how many people they're bringing in, and I think they're having their eyes opened at how big of an event they have in their backyard. And I don't think they realized it till maybe about 10 years ago how big this thing was.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, between everything at the airport, lodging, rental car. I mean, a lot of people probably drive just because we're old school, but I mean, I'm sure it's in, you know, the millions of dollars of revenue from the shootout all the way up to the Chili Bowl for a couple of weeks. I mean, I don't know. I think I've been to Tulsa once, but I mean, I'm sure that's a pretty, like you said, a pretty good impact on the economy to the plus side. So.
Yeah,
$28 million, I think I read last year. They posted an article about it for the local economy. So, I mean, you're bringing in a lot for them. So it's a good thing they're bringing you dirt or letting you have it, because, you know, that was cheap for them. But, I mean, that's pretty cool.
I think, if I remember hearing correctly, I think they said it's the second highest only to the PGA that they have only every few years.
Mm-hmm. I believe it. That's awesome. So,
yeah, so
I guess
I think that, you know, my grandpa started this, you know, 40 years right here in our backyard.
Yeah, no doubt. So I guess some of the questions I have when I'm watching it, because, you know, I've started racing the outlaw cart, and like obviously down in Shawnee and you know, some of the indoor stuff, like that's a big deal for the outlaw carts in the fall time, winter time, racing indoor if you can't make it to Red Bluff. But why is there any interest in maybe having more events other than just that month of the shootout and the Chili Bowl, or is your grandpa's like that's it?
There's always been talk of it, right? Like it would definitely make more sense if we could get more racing in. But you know, like we were talking about before we got the show started, they have the building from pretty much the beginning of December till a week after the Chili Bowl, and really by the time they get all that stuff in and set up, like they don't have any time to do anything before the shoot. And really, the time in between the shootout and Chili Bowl, they are pretty much busy getting everything prepped for Chili Bowl. And last year, or the year before that, they literally had 24 hours to get everything out of the building before the next show had to go in. So like the time restraint there is next level. And I wouldn't even want to know how much it would cost to get it for a whole nother month. But you know, I thought
maybe your grandpa should just buy the building and then we could just have indoor racing all the time.
All the time, yeah. Yeah, that'd be perfect. Yeah. Anybody got it? Is it too hot outside? Let's just come in here.
Yeah. Or cold where we live, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, like I said, I'll pass it to Blair, but I could talk about the Chili Bowl for forever, another hour at minimum. So
Well,
Blair, I'll pass to you.
I guess, I mean, obviously with the midgets and stuff, is that something, what determined whether you were going to do sprint cars or midgets? I mean, obviously you love the Chili Bowl, that event's a marquee for you and your family. Would you like to race a midget more? Is it just because of the schedule, or did you love the wing sprint cars the most, or what made that decision for you?
I think maybe what it came down to, truthfully, like I love them both. I love running my midget. I really do. I mean, racing them, the way they make you feel inside of a car is next level, right? A sprint car doesn't do that, but a midget is definitely a handful. But you know, with how rough and rowdy these people are anymore in midgets, that kind of sucks the fun out. Like I don't enjoy like beating and banging that hard. Like I like hard, good racing, but like I like to know the guy's not going to drive through me for the position. Like I raced with Covington this weekend for battling for the lead with a few laps to go, and he slid me twice, and not once did I ever think he's going to stick a right rear through my cockpit, right? So that's what I enjoy about my sprint car is like there's a lot more respect. But the racing part, like I say this, like if I could get a midget and get 8 midgets and have like 10 of my buddies out there and we just go rip on one night, like yeah, that'd be awesome. I would do that every day of the week. But like I think another part of the aspect of it is like me growing up, like I told you guys earlier, I would get to watch these sprint cars like 5-6 times a year, and it's kind of like a rare occasion for me as a kid. And I remember walking through these pits like after these guys fired these cars up and they're sitting there warming them up before the night started, and I'm walking through there like holding my dad's hand, like as a little kid walking through there, listening to these things, you just walk back and forth and seeing the like there's something about it. Like I can literally remember going to a race at State Fair Speedway in Oklahoma City and walking behind these cars and going, I want to know what it feels like to feel that power on a track, like going around the corner and like not lifting. Like I want to know what that feels like. So I think down like that's part of the reason I wanted to just get going to the sprint car. Like, and I think another part is like I want to be the best I can be at everything I do. So like, and I know the best dirt track racers are wing sprint car racers, in my opinion. There's some great midget racers. There's some great non-wing sprint car racers, but I think the most like technical racing and like just like all around, just like what it takes to be the best is a wing sprint car driver. So I feel like if I'm going to do it, that's what I need to aim for.
Sure. Wow.
Yeah.
Definitely the hardest thing I've ever done. I was, you know, I mean, I expected it to be difficult, but the level of talent, and I think the guys that have been drawn to it, it just keeps getting harder and harder. So, you know, like for me, the nights you can even hang, you know, and as new as we are into it, it feels really good because it's like I feel like the recognition is starting to come these last, you know, since 2020 maybe. But, you know, I'd seen a lot of different guys and been around pavement and now dirt for quite a while. And it's just, they're starting to get the credit they deserve. But man, I told Brandon, this is by far, I've tried to do a lot of hard things and challenge myself in life, and the good and the bad side. And it is so difficult that if most people never understand what it's like to even run decent, let alone be up front.
Yeah, man,
what you're doing. And
fans are up there going, man, how's he not doing that? Well, it's like, man, it's not that easy. Like these guys Kyle Larson makes it look so easy. It makes it where a guy me and you, it's freaking, we got to work our tail off to do stuff that he's doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, like as a younger crowd, like you mentioned earlier, Blake, is coming into the sport, which we need. Watching it on TV, and I go back to, my wife, the story there, like at the end of a straightaway, like at Knoxville Nationals, I'm like, I asked her, do you think they're going fast? She's like, oh, it looks, and I'm like, they're probably like, depending on what RPM they're spinning, they're like $150. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like until you watch one like in person and see it, like it's I feel like TV doesn't do it justice. Like it is still very much better racing than asphalt, in my opinion, in all of our opinion, I could say. But just until you go to that first race and see it, smell it, and hear it, I mean, there ain't nothing like it.
No, man. And even just watching from the grandstands, it gives you a different aspect of watching it from home on the TV. But to go to Knoxville and to like see the power and feel power, go stand in the infield on the guardrail and watch a car go by you. And like the guy's never lifting, like that's when you're like, these are some machines that nobody you wouldn't like, nobody should even be in these things. And here we are, 30 of us out there at the same time.
Yeah, you guys are nuts. I'll give you that.
I've said I don't know how it's still legal, but I'm glad they've left it alone.
I catch myself sometimes, like I'll like be in like a 4th or 5th heat race, so I'll watch the first couple of heat races, and these guys are out there just like beating the wall down. Like we're a foot off the wall and we're like on a 1.5-foot curb, just like wide open. And I'm like, man, I have to get out there and do that. Like I get out there and like, I just get in my rhythm and just get out there and do it. And it's like, okay, I just do it. But like when I sit back there and watch, I'm like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah, it is. You guys, I don't even know how to explain it. Like how you like take the car, I've never been in a sprint car, but how you can just angle the car at, inches away from the next guy and just, and still be hauling ass. Like it's really remarkable. So I know we brag on, obviously we're a dirt racing podcast, but challenging everybody that hasn't seen a wing sprint car race to wherever you're at listening from, just go out to your local track or a national event, because it's worth the admission. Yeah, no doubt. Well, Blake, I didn't know anything else you wanted us to hit on tonight. Like I said, I think we could go on for hours and hours, but I'll leave it to you if there's.
No, nothing that I can think of, man. I'm just really thankful. Truthfully, I'm really thankful for my opportunity to be here. I'm blessed for sure. My family has helped me out immensely, and without my grandpa's hard work, and my grandma and grandpa's hard work, and my mom and dad's hard work to get me where I'm at, they've all done more than I could ever ask for, truthfully. So I just got to be thankful for that, and just be thankful for the opportunity to be able to travel up and down the road, running on the national tour with ASCS. Like I said earlier, obviously the main goal would be to run with the Outlaws or High Limits, but I think we found our happy spot. It's perfect for us, and we have a good time racing with these guys. And truthfully, I wouldn't have it any other way right now. But yeah, we just want to finish out the year strong. I feel like we had a really good car this year, good season so far. So 10 races left. I feel like there's no reason we couldn't pick off a couple more wins and finish the year out strong.
Yeah. I got to ask, how many podcasts have you done in your career so far?
Probably maybe a half dozen, probably.
Gotcha. Any, have you ever done one with your grandpa?
I don't think so.
We should make that happen. That'd be pretty special, I feel like, for your family.
Yeah, that would be cool, man. We could do something at his house or at my shop or something.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, you got my number, man. So let's make that happen. That'd be pretty special, I feel like. We
could spend an hour talking old racing stories. We could have all kinds of crazy stuff to get the things these back in the day to get up and down the road, and the shenanigans they got into after hours. He could tell you guys stories for hours.
Yeah, man. Well, run it by, man. We'd love to have you both back on the show. It'd be a family affair, and we'd love to have you. Yeah,
that'd be great. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we'll give you however much time you want tonight to think. I know you got a bandwagon of people and sponsors behind you, so the time is yours to thank those people.
Yeah, first off, like I said, I got to thank my grandma and grandpa for even giving me this opportunity in 2015. They obviously didn't have to. They've stood behind me this far, and to be able to pick up 2 championships with ASCS with them has been it's been a lot to me. So I'm thankful for them and my mom and dad. And then I've got my best friend as my crew chief, Dalton. He's been working his tail off this year, really trying to focus in and dial this car in and really give me a championship car. So I'm thankful for him. And we've got some good guys helping us, with Paul Nelson helping out, and Kevin Garris, and then Wayne Purdy too. So we've got a good group of guys that I really enjoy being around and getting to race with every weekend. And then my partners that I get to race with on my car is really, it's not even partners, it's more like friendships for me. They're all good people, and like I wouldn't have it any other way. And I have got a bunch of good help from Smiley's Racing Products out of Dallas. They've got a bunch of good race car parts, any sprint car, factory stock, and modified. They're the place to shop. And then CSR Garage out of Las Cruces, New Mexico. Just a good couple that just enjoy some sprint car racing, that's been supporting me for nearly a decade now too. So we're thankful for them. And then we've had Glenn Stiers Racing jump on board the last couple of years. Guy out of Canada. He's really a good supporter of dirt track racing all across the country. And I think that's one of those guys that you've probably seen his logo somewhere at some point, because he's got his hand in everything from pavement to dirt to winged and all. So we're thankful to have him with us. And we've been lucky to jump on board with Blood Lubricants. It's a blood oil lubricant company. And truthfully, I think it's the best product on the market with our gear oil and motor oil. It's been just top notch. And Velocity Race Gear has been with me for over a decade as well, keeping me safe. I've been into some scary incidents, and they've been keeping me safe every bit of the way. So I'm thankful to have them beside me and helping me out. And I've got a really good group of guys that help me out. A younger guy that is starting a racing development team, Scissortail Racing Development, here out of Oklahoma. And I'm partnering with them, trying to hone these younger drivers in to be the best drivers they can be. And I'm just trying to build a good team for those guys. And we're just thankful that people like them jump on board with us. And we're just glad that, all those partners, like I said, have been with us for numerous years. And we're just thankful to be able to have them all helping us out. And we look forward to building those relationships and continuing to make new ones with other people also.
Yeah, man, that's awesome that you're doing that for sure. So yeah, we class act and everybody watching or listening to this down the road. Obviously, I didn't know Blake from Adam, and walked up to him in Fort Worth, and lo and behold, here we are. So if you get a chance to go visit the BHR, we share that race team name, so that's cool. But if you get down there to a local show, ASCS, High Limit, or World of Outlaws, definitely go check out Blake Hahn. He's a class act and very humble guy. So you have like we were doing the stats, looking up on you, and that's no joke. And to be as humble as you are, it's pretty cool to see. And you're doing a lot of great stuff for racing, and we're glad to get you on tonight.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, thank you guys a ton. I appreciate it. It was good to see y'all. It was good to see you, Brandon. I didn't get to see you, Blair, over there, but yeah, hopefully we get to make it Colorado and come race with you guys again. But yeah, I appreciate you guys having us on, and hopefully we can definitely get back on, and maybe I can drag my grandpa on with me.
Yeah, let's do it, man. You got my number, so any week that you have available, just let us know and we'll make it happen.
Cool. Sounds good, man. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, have a great rest of your year, man, and we'll be following you. So appreciate the time tonight.
Yeah, man. Great job. I appreciate you.
All right, Blake Hahn on the Throwin Sliders podcast. Great stuff, man. I'm really glad we got that.
Was awesome. I was a fan of his driving style anyway, but personally, when you get to even talk to these guys, you could tell he's just a good dude, and definitely made me a even bigger fan. So
yep,
that was awesome.
Yep. And like I said, man, it's when you start to, like, I'm a nerd, as Blair knows, and the history of the sport, and walking up to these drivers, like you almost feel like Blake was talking about, a little kid at your first time, like going up, like, hey Blake, I got this podcast, would you mind coming on? He's like, absolutely. He's like, a funny story actually at El Paso, was it 3 weeks ago now? Blake was doing some maintenance on his car, and I walk up and I was like, hey Blake, you don't know me again, but we met at Fort Worth or whatever. And I was like, me and Blair, 32 car over there, got this podcast, and we want to know if you'd be on. He's like, wait, right now? And I was like, no. Like, you're racing, Blair's racing. We'll schedule it. And he's like, oh, but I guarantee you, he would have given us, maybe 15 minutes of his time. Yeah. But that's pretty cool. Yeah. It just goes to show you what kind of person he is. So very cool. But yeah, we're going to play another ad real quick, get a second segment sip. We're going to give a little precursor to the ad that's about to play. There you go. Oh yeah. There you go. Blair's been working it. But really, really grateful, I guess is the word, for Mountain Ops. If you see Blair and I at the track, obviously we're drinking it, we're eating it, we're rocking it. They've been a great partner so far in 2025, and looking to do bigger things with them in the upcoming podcast seasons and in the race season. So, continue to watch our social media handles. We're trying our very hardest to align to give some product giveaway when Blair's at the racetrack. So unfortunately, just some communication stuff there, but we will do it maybe yet this year. So definitely keep an eye on our social handles, and we'll give some free stuff out because we want you guys to try this and, not just think that we're promoting it just because. So appreciate Mountain Ops, and play the ad, and we're going to talk about Blair's very good weekend at El Paso County. Whether you're chasing checkered flags, chasing elk in the mountains, casting a line, or crushing early morning workouts in the gym, there's one name every high performer should know: Mountain Ops. This team fuels athletes, hunters, racers, and weekend warriors with the cleanest, hardest-hitting supplements on the market. Let's be honest, this sport isn't for the soft. Late nights in the garage, long drives to the track, and hot evenings in the pits and in the car. We are built different. That's why we run on Mountain Ops. Their supplements hit hard, feel clean, and don't have all that junk you can't pronounce. From early mornings to late nights on race day, this is the stuff that keeps the crew moving and ready for the next lap. Want in? Head to mtnops.com, enter code TSPodcast at checkout, and get 20% off your order. That's right, enter code TSPODCAST at checkout for 20% off your order. You don't just want to show up, you want to win. Fuel like you mean it. Winners use Mountain Ops. Proud supporting partner of the Throwin Sliders podcast. In that photo there that I made in the video, I was thinking about it when you were going to get the win on Saturday. Man, we were going to have a ball with Mountain Ops and that victory lane photo, but we'll get there. But So we've had a lot of people reach out privately to our pages about Mountain Ops. So if you have any questions on the products or what this is about, please feel free to, hit us up. We're just supporting them because they support us. And, obviously, like I said earlier, we're avid users of it. And we think it's good stuff. So if you have any questions, comments, or have no idea what the hell we're talking about, we'd be glad to inform you on what Mountain Ops is, what they stand for, and everything that they provide. So definitely check it out, mountainops.com. Use code TS Podcast at checkout for 20% off, just as for listening and watching us, I should say. So with that being said, Blair, take us through Saturday. And thank you first and foremost for inviting me back for yet another one. I didn't screw anything up, I don't think.
No, he did awesome. The only thing we had a problem with, and Brandon is now the designated fuel man.
That's fine.
And he's starting to pick up tasks every time he comes. He's done siping tires now, so you've run the gambit already. But I kind of actually just stepped back. Obviously, my wife and father-in-law. My wife was on a work trip, so she's been basically crew chiefing, and my father-in-law is the car chief. I mean, really, that's how we've designated. I systematize everything. They fulfill their roles, but they both being gone. She's on a work trip, and my father-in-law went with her because his brother lives up there. So luckily, my brother and my dad were able to come back and help out. I used my brother as a crew chief for a long time, and he's so much smarter with chassis and all that stuff than I am. And even having that set of eyes outside the car, to see how it goes was a big help. We ended up a little tight. Callahan's always a grab bag. And then we thought it was going to go away even more. It looked like it gave up a little bit, and it just went even faster in the main. So the car was tight. I know a lot of people, even my brother said, everybody was just commenting how I was on fire. And my wife was watching from Washington, and she said even in the booth, they were just saying that car, it's like, the titanium rotor's just baking like the sun. But, it was funny. I don't know if I told you, but when I pulled off the track, those brakes were absolutely done. The pedal was to the floor. So
yeah, I heard you. Yeah.
Yeah, luckily that rotor and pads hung on for that long, but going to make a switch. But we ended up finishing third. We won the heat race, had a really good race. Wanted to shout out Bradley Cox. I mean, raced me really clean. Yep. Kid races hard. He's really coming into his own in the sprint.
You threw it in there.
Yeah, he put it in there. I knew, the one thing that I had if the car was tight and there was enough of some moisture up there and stuff, you could go around on the outside. So that was his one shot. I did it clean. I always appreciate that. Kid always races me clean. So we won that, and in the redraw, I started pole. for the main. And when they threw the green, Gossel actually got a little bit of a jump. I kind of missed the start. He was able to drive around the outside. Well, I found out right away my car was tight down there on the bottom. He was able to just roll around, and then Trimble stuck it under there nice and free, and he rotated when we got to the center, and I basically had to just chase them all night. But they checked out on me quite a bit and ended up being a really great battle for the win. Trimble got him. They're first and second in points too, so they've been battling all season, and so Trimble ended up besting Brian Gossel on that one. But man, what a show. I went back and watched him. But anyway, we hit some laugh traffic, and then Cox caught back up to me, and I just tried to hang on there and hope the pedal wasn't going to just fall off. But a lot of fun. It was a good night, nice and cool. It feels like fall, and the car's going in the right direction. So it's not a win. I want to win races, but after the last 2-3 weeks putting that new car together and all we've been doing and the late hours to even make progress with it now after such a shit show at Callahan the last time, and missing a feature, that felt so bad. I was like, man, we got to figure this out. So I basically tore the whole car apart again. We hadn't even talked for days. And that was what I was doing. I was either working it, till late in the night, trying to get that thing absolutely perfect and fix some problems. And, so I think it's getting there, and we're going to keep going forward. But that's why I even wanted to ask Blake about how he felt when you hit a slump. It's been, we went from winning races and what we were doing and being one of the guys to beat or up there, almost every night. And even my first year of sprint car racing, it was like I came out of the gate, and talk about what he said with the confidence. I was like, right out of the gate, I was doing top fives in some pretty big shows and putting it on a podium. And then last year, it kind of at the end of the year started to go away. And then this year it was complete hit or miss. I've been all over the board. So when that goes away, it starts to play with your mind, and you just got to tell yourself it'll come back, and we're going to keep digging.
Yeah, no, and I'll say from a third party, kind of 30,000 foot view, just the, I guess, confidence. And because obviously, after what was 3 weeks ago, like I said, whatever the hell the date was at the El Paso where you missed he did pull some big, I got told about it because I was filming, and I'm trying to focus on Blair. So he has some good notes, but yeah, I missed the wheelie, but I'll go back and rewatch it. But
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just saw that. I was like, hell yeah. I looked at the moon a couple times. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. Hearing about it in the trailer afterwards, I was like, hell yeah, I'll have to go back and watch it. But no, I was going to say, obviously it was disappointing. We all, felt some responsibility in that not making the feature, we're not pointing fingers at anybody. That's not what a good team does, but we all felt down. Right. And then you having to watch that show from the grandstands, which you said was like one of the very first times you've ever done that. And then just night and day difference from what I noticed when I first pulled up to the track is like, your confidence was like, hey, we got this shit figured out and we're going to be good. And I, after talking to you and talking to your brother about what we had going on, it was just ironic that, we had, Trimble, yourself, and then Gossel all pitted right there. And I turned around and told you, I said that these are the 3 cars to beat tonight because of, how much, confidence. And because you could have easily been like, nervous or kind of pessimistic, like, shit, last time wasn't very good. Like, I don't know if we made the right adjustments, but from the drop of the gate, you were like, hey, we got this. We're down. And other than, I think we took the right rear end before hot laps. And that was, other than air pressure and stagger, that was the first time I've been with you where we're not changing everything but the kitchen sink. So from my point of view, which I don't, still learning, don't know a lot about them, but I feel like when you don't have to touch the car, like as little as we did, that's a good sign.
Sure. Well, and I think part of it, I don't know, we've talked about it a little bit with my wife, and she's actually in the comments. That wasn't her fault. She took a lot of blame for that. But anyway, I think a little bit of the Dunning-Kruger effect, which means that when you gain a little bit of knowledge about something, it can actually hurt you because you think you've either learned more than you actually have. What you don't know anymore. Once I've studied so much and worked so hard at it that when I first started, I would take little bites, right? And now I was trying to bite the elephant's ass in one big swig, and it actually's hurt me and gone the other way. So a little knowledge sometimes can be a dangerous thing. And, I've taken some of the advice of just because you've been to that racetrack before doesn't mean it's going to be that way again. So quit assuming, go look at the racetrack, go stick the screwdriver in it, go, give it your best judgment. Don't just assume and start tightening that thing up or whatever. And we still did tighten it up a little bit much. I mean, the car was tight, but at least it was drivable, and of course there was a hole. So I got up on the, right front a little bit, but it's like next time we go there again, those 30 car national tour show are big shows. And when Swindell's there and stuff, I've qualified second, ran well. But when you do, you get in that hole, it'll screw you up. And yeah, you're right. And I think the track being a little bit heavier, I always set my car to the exact same baseline when we roll in. But when the track stayed as good as it did too, that place is a mixed bag. And it was like, we don't have to do too much. In fact, usually we're tightening up and we could have gone the other way. So, that's amazing, but at least that's in the notes now. It's like, hey, this track can go the other way. If it's that heavy and it's cool out, next time we'll let that thing roll center a little bit. And my brother, he did make a shock adjustment before the main, he did a couple little things, but yeah, like you said, no big swings. And I think we're going to kind of get back to that because I had some good notes and was really having some decent success. And then even like guys like trying to chase Trimble and them down once he came in the next year and was right out of the gate. I mean, they're just smarter and a little bit better than me as a whole in our team. The knowledge and the experience, but it's something to shoot for. So sometimes I think just dialing myself too far out, trying to take big swings, so lessons to guys out there. If it's not working, go back to the basics. Yep.
Well, and I sit here and reminisce on Saturday. I'm like, damn, if Tara was there and we had her expertise on the tires, we might have just fucking beat them all.
Yeah, she really does a good job. I mean, that's one thing. She takes it hard too. I said I have the only crew chief in motorsports here in sprint cars that cries because she was so sad she couldn't be at the race and was having to go on this trip, that she actually got teary-eyed. And I'm like,
oh, she was still in the mix. We were texting back and forth, and obviously, I'm not going to give away secrets on the 32 team here, but I was strategically placed throughout the track and, providing updates to your brother. And she was telling me what she was seeing from Dirt Vision. So it was just kind of a cool deal there.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's awesome to have you there and you've come, even just we're going over what stuff does and obviously you pick it up really fast. So if we ever get the money, you can go with me anywhere, man. And we'll, we're trying to get my brother and my dad to go and my wife and father-in-law. It's like,
I thought you were about to say racing. I was like, I don't know about that, but.
Oh, well, you can race too. Shit.
I'll help you all day long. We don't need that.
But yeah, my whole life's fallen apart without my wife here. I ate a burrito while driving home to do the podcast. Shit's everywhere in the house, and
crying in a Starbucks every morning.
Yeah, I had to pack my own race suit. It's like, man, she does a lot for me. So I sure as hell miss her. And it's like Blake said, he said the one thing about the ASCS series, whether it's regional or national, you kind of don't see it as much at the Outlaws or High Limit anymore. There's a lot of family teams still. And, some of them probably aren't at that level because they don't have the funds, the backing, or like you said, even travel schedules. That's just brutal when you have a family, but it really is neat to see, fathers, sons, uncles, wives.
Well, shit, if you got a rig like the Gossels, you can bring the whole family plus cousins and dogs and cats, man. They got to go on.
I know. So. Well, and that's what my dad, we literally had that exact same motorhome pretty much. And, the family, but my dad's like, I'm not taking that to the dirt track and getting that shit filthy every night. And now he's like, you know what? I think he's starting to enjoy it. So, but
that was good to meet him for the first time for sure.
Yeah. So, he's still, we're trying to work him into the dirt, but I think he's starting to see the sprint car racing and
he enjoyed it. I could tell.
Yeah, I know he loves racing.
I don't know him. Obviously, I've only met him once, but the what was it, 8 hours that I was around him on Saturday, you lining up on the pole for the feature, he was nervous and he admitted it. And I was like, I think we're more nervous for Blair than Blair is. And we're not even in there.
I really wasn't. Cause I knew the car was, if I had, that's one thing I tell people this, and we've talked about it when Justin Sanders jumped in Reitzel's ride or guys when you have a good car, it makes your whole night a lot better. I've hung on to some shit race cars this year. I mean, where I'm fighting for my life in there. Where it feels like every time you come out of the corner, you're either going to fence it, slip up, or get into another guy. And I never want to tear anybody else's stuff up. And I mean, I'm absolutely, when I come out of that car soaking wet and just arms hanging, feet are worked, but when you have that car and the motor was taken off good, so then you just try to limit your mistakes. But, I felt like when we've been on the road, we've done better. And a lot of times you get in the car and if it's comfortable, you're confident, like Blake said, back to that, it's a whole different ball game instead of how am I going to have to fight this thing? How's this going to end up? Am I going to trash my new car that's not handling for shit? That's miserable. Driving a good race car is really not that hard until you race other guys with really good race cars, and then it goes back to now I got to figure out how to work around them or hold them off.
Sure. Yeah, we had a comment from Hamilton Motorsports, which we'll get to here in just a second. When are you racing next? And then your lovely wife said Honor this weekend, and then Calhan on the 20th. So yeah, Blair's got some busy upcoming weeks. Did want to shout out our good friend, where is it, Mr. Corey Mallow. Congratulations on your 260 championship. I know there's a lot of emotions tied behind that. I'm not going to get emotional. 270, sorry. Your championship, that's a hell of a deal, especially if you guys understand the story behind it. So congrats to Corey for locking that up, and hell of a wingman. I did see it for sale, so I'm like, what the hell is going on here? But
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, go out a champion. Maybe he's going to come race a wing sprint car.
I've been telling him that, and whenever he can, sometimes he's still younger than me. He was calling me an old man in the show earlier. I saw that. So
did I get your age right? By the way, is 36? I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for ruining any chances I ever have for a sponsor. I mean, I look 56. People think I'm older than that. So
there you go. I want a big car next, he says. Well, let's do it.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Sprint car. So we'll try to find Corey some help and get him a ride, because he definitely is he's another wheelman. So
well, I'll tell you what,
motorsports, we're all trying to get him into sprint cars. We want it to keep going.
Yeah. I was going to say, with the amount of people, if you could duplicate that every race, Corey could just, pit next to us and we just have a free for all with two cars. So I'll put the gas in them, and that's all I'm going to do. But yeah, good stuff. There's something. I wanted to, before I'll let Blair talk about Hamilton Motorsports and Bear Electric, but wanted to shout out Keaton Shore, and he asked me to make a comment here, and I'm just gonna just say that Blair is really good at eating corn dogs, and hopefully Keaton hears that or is watching. But I told you I'd do it, so I did. Blair and corn dogs.
It sounds pretty filthy. I can just imagine what you two nerds were talking about. But yeah, shout out to Keaton and Brett for coming to help. We had more help than I knew what to do with. I caught myself standing around, and I was like, and Brett,
that's what you need to be doing.
Yeah, my wife always has to give me kisses right when I'm buckling in. And
don't go into that story. Don't.
Brett had to take her place.
Yeah. Oh man.
So now I said, if we win it, he's going to have to go to every race, and we'll be getting kisses from Brett and Tara. So that was pretty uncomfortable. And he actually just gave his hand a schmackaroo and put it on my forehead. So it was an interesting night. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And I remember we're getting sidetracked, but I remember Austin looking at your dad about it was at the end of the night. I'm not even going to say the word because we'll probably get banned, but Austin looked over at your dad and he's like, you don't even want to know what was just said, the name that was just said, and your dad's like, okay.
Yeah.
Bunch of six grown-ass men standing around. It's never good. But yeah, so with that, we kind of introduced this. I guess we were off last week for Labor Day, but the week prior, we kind of let off with a new sponsorship. So I'll let Blair, not to put you on the spot, but I'll let Blair kind of reintroduce that and something in the works here.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've just been trying to promote Hamilton Motorsports. So for a lot of guys that don't know, I used to work with USA Performance, but Mark Hamilton and Sam, they took over for Rick selling tires, fuel, anything like that. So I'm sure they just keep growing that business. So they're out of Denver, but I know even some of my friends up in South Dakota, they can get you anything you need. So, sprint car tires, modifieds. I've been in that shop. They've got the midgets in there. It's just a beautiful place. Really great to work with.
TRD midgets, mind you. TRD.
Oh yeah. Sick. Yeah. Carbon fiber floor pans. Mark's got it figured out, but when I see how clean those things are, it's nice. But yeah, they can really help you out with anything. So we're going to get maybe something more formal worked out with them. And but we definitely want to promote them either way. Great people to work with. I mean, they've done some special stuff for me that I felt privileged even getting fuel at the racetrack and going above and beyond. So we'll continue to work with them. We'll get some ads done. But really, in the off season and stuff, if you're stocking up on parts, they can really get you just about anything. It was really easy to work with them, and looking forward to doing more business. So definitely nice to have something like that here in Colorado, because we're kind of in a desert. I've been to New Mexico and searching around for a tire at 3:30 in the morning because the track rubbered up, and I thought we'd always buy tires, and fuel wherever we went. So now I stock up and hit the road.
Should they come to you at the track?
I know, that was awesome. So they've got their trailer out there. You can look at their Facebook page and see where they're going to be at. I know the season's winding down, but definitely they can get orders in. Got pallets and pallets of tires and fuel, drums, and whatever you need. So go check them out.
Yep. And then just if you're bored and want to check out, we actually had Mark on the podcast back in January, I believe, when Blair and I were at the El Paso trade show. We had a whole host of guests, just, one after the other, but Mark came on there and talked about the MMRA and everything they got going on. So go back to Spotify, Facebook, it should be on YouTube still. And go check that episode out as well. I think it was the second episode of that day. But definitely go check that out, and appreciate what they're doing for the sport and teaming up with us here on the Throwin Sliders podcast. So well, I think that brings us really to the end of the show. We appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Obviously, really we're looking forward to the Blake Hahn interview, and it did not disappoint. So. Like I said earlier, Class Act guy, if you are just now tuning in, be sure and go rewatch either the live episode here or on YouTube, or if you're more of a listening fan, we're on every podcast platform that you can think of. So don't be bashful there. Blair and I always like the kind of off-air comments that you guys give on any of our posts or messaging us and stuff, and we like to interact with you guys. So keep that up. And if you're in the Pueblo area, definitely go watch Blair this weekend, and Keaton. He'll be running the modified out there. And
nice,
we had a good discussion on the race that will be in the modified, and I'm going to leave it at that. So go check it out if you're in the area. Like Blair said earlier, the season's unfortunately winding down. Here we are almost mid-September, and really all the championships for the local stuff is going to start dwindling down here in the next couple of weeks. So we'll try to touch on some of the track champions when we don't have a guest on and so forth. But keep giving you guys good content as long as you keep watching and listening. So that's it for me. I'll pass to Blair.
Yeah. Wow, great episode. I became a big Blake Hahn fan. I mean, I already liked his style and everything, but getting to know him was great. So really appreciate you doing that, Blake. And we'll cut some clips, and man, we'll get at it again next week. I don't really remember the last 3 or 4 weeks, so it's been an absolute blur. And there was a couple days I was like, damn, I'm ready for racing to be over. And then I know 2 weeks after the season's over, I'll be like, damn, I'm ready to go racing. Yep. So it's never ending.
Get you the iRacing rig that'll scratch that itch.
I'll be working on my car.
Yeah. Well, we'll try to get something formulated like we did last winter. I know that was kind of spur of the moment deal, but we'll
that'll be cool.
Try to find some time and either retire from the racing events because I always get wrecked out, and just broadcast them, or continue to do the same. So it's almost like I got a target on my back. It's like wreck the broadcaster for whatever
Hell
reason.
Yeah, I'd love to wreck you.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. All right. With that, we're gonna wreck this show right now and go ahead and call it a night. So appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your week. And if you're racing this weekend, keep it rubber side down, keep it safe, and we'll talk to you guys next Monday. Keep throwing those sliders. See you. This was another production of Scrubbin' Tires Media. The Throwin Sliders podcast is hosted by Blair Cooper and Brandon Hall. Video and audio was created by Bryce Holcomb. Please like, share, and leave a 5-star review. And as always, keep throwing those sliders.